Welcome back, guys. In this video we'll be discussing a new interfacing chip which is known as the direct memory access controller. So that is the DMA controller. DMA stands for direct memory access. So as the name suggests, this is a chip or an interfacing chip that is used for interfacing the memory with IO devices. So the reason why we use this chip is that we know that every time when you have to transfer data between memory and IO devices, the processor has to get involved, which means that you need to write instructions for your 8085 microprocessor in order to take the data from the memory and give the data to the peripheral devices or the IO devices. So which is a very lengthy process, and it is also a time taking process where the processor will have to stop its current execution of programs. For example, let's say you want to print some data, or you want to copy some data from your memory to your USB pen drive. So in that case, what happens is that for each byte of memory transfer, you will have to require you'll have to fetch the data, 1 byte of data. So you need one instruction for fetching the data from the memory. Then you will require another instruction for copying it into the USB drive or any of the peripheral devices. Then you will require another instruction to increment the memory location, because obviously you won't be sending 1 byte of data, you will be sending in megabytes or in gigabytes. So you'll have to increment the address of the memory location, and then you will have to decrement the count in the sense you will have to put this entire process in a loop. So you need 4 instructions for that, and then you will require an instruction for the looping of this particular set of instructions. So basically you need a counter which will decide how many amount of data, or how much data has to be transferred, whether it is 1 byte or whether it is 1 kilobyte or whether it is 10 kilobytes. So depending upon that, you will have to give the count, and then you need a instruction for looping this entire system. So basically we need around 5 instructions which has to be run like for each and every byte of memory to IO devices transfer, and all these 5 instructions has to be done by the MUPI. So here it becomes a very lengthy process, because 5 instructions for 1 byte, let's say you are transferring 1 megabyte, which means that 5 into 1 million instructions has to be run for just transferring 1 megabyte of data, which is really time taking for the processor. Therefore we have a new chip that is known as the DMA controller. So DMA controller is a chip that does not involve the processor in order to do the data transfer. So DMA controller, in DMA controller you can actually initialize the starting address of the memory location, from where you want to send the data, and you can initialize the count means the number of bytes you need to transfer this particular data, the number of bytes you have to transfer it to the printer or USB or any of the devices. Now obviously for reading and writing you require some signals which is mentioned over here, which is the memory read, memory write, IO read, IO write. So these signals are generally produced by microprocessor. That is the requirement why we require a processor to do this process. But DMA controller itself is a controller which is designed to give these particular signals of memory read, memory write, and IO read and IO write. So it can directly give these signals. The only requirement is that it will require the bus, the data bus, in order to do all these transfers. So the system bus should be in the hands of DMA controller. That is the only drawback over here. Otherwise, this controller can do this process much faster than a MUPI, because this DMA controller is actually designed to do only the data transfer between memory and IO devices. So it doesn't have to fetch 5 instructions because it already knows what is the starting address, it knows the count, it just keeps sending the data directly from memory to the peripheral devices. It does not have to fetch instructions, decode them or execute them in order to do this entire process, because it is designed just to do data transfer between the memory and the IO devices. So that makes it this device much faster than the processor. So you can transfer data at a much higher rate using this device, which is known as the DMA controller, instead of using the processor, instead of involving the processor in the entire process. So that is the main idea of this DMA controller. So it keeps decreasing the count as with each byte, and when the entire data is transferred, it gives back the bus control, system bus control back to the microprocessor. So this device is much more faster than your processor, because it does not have to fetch 5 instructions just for transferring 1 byte. It can directly transfer the bytes depending upon the count. With each cycle it can send each byte. So that is the advantage of this particular device. Now here we can look at this block diagram from where you can understand how the process is. So the sequence of the process of DMA transfer. Now whenever a DMA controller is connected to a peripheral device, the first signal that has to be given is the D request. This is a information that is given by the peripheral device, for example like a printer or a USB device or a CD. When you insert it, when you insert or when you initialize the device, it gives a signal to the DMA controller that the device is ready to be used. You might have observed that in your PCs also, whenever you connect a new USB, after the initialization it shows you a message that the USB is ready to be used. So that is a signal that it gives to the DMA controller. The peripheral device should be ready to take data, right, or it should be ready to transfer data, right. So that is the first and the foremost signal that gives the DMA controller. Even though this direct signal is given, even though the direct signal is given to the DMA controller, only if the programmer wants to print a particular file, or let's say in the case of your USB pen drive, only when you want to use the USB, that is the place when you will use it, right. So this signal is a signal that shows that the device is ready, you can use it whenever you want. So that is the first signal that the DMA controller receives. The next signal is that the next is the initialization process. Now whenever you want to transfer some data, the DMA controller will not know whether the programmer is planning to transfer data or what is the current status, right. So the information has to come from the processor itself. So the second process is the initialization of the DMA, right. You need to initialize DMA controller with we have already discussed the starting address and the count, right. So these two information has to be initialized into the DMA controller by the processor, right. So whenever you transfer a file, you just drag it from a particular memory location in your memory to your USB, or maybe you give a command for printing a document, right. So this is the basic command that the microprocessor is also going to give. It gives the starting address. Let's say if you are printing something, it gives the starting address of the memory location from where the file starts, and it also gives the count, how much memory location is there in that particular file which has to be printed. Or let's say you want to copy a file from the memory, it will give the starting address of the file in the memory, and it will give the count, which is the size of the file, right? So once these two information comes into the DMA controller, what happens, the DMA controller will request for the system bus, right? So it gives the request to the microprocessor. Once the DMA is initialized, it will give the request to the microprocessor using the HRQ line, right? This is the HRQ pin. It goes into the hold pin of the microprocessor, so it gives a request signal requesting the microprocessor to release the system bus, right, for system bus. Now once the signal is obtained by the processor will finish its current machine cycle, and then it will release the system bus. Also it will give a acknowledgement signal, right? It will give an acknowledgement signal through the HLDA signal, hold acknowledge, right? So the fourth point that we have is the MUP finishes the current machine cycle, and it releases, right? It releases the system bus, also gives a acknowledgement signal, right? So it gives an acknowledgement signal through the HLDA pin, which is an acknowledgement to the DMA, and then the DMA acquires the control of the system bus. It takes the control of the system bus, and it will start its memory data transfer, right? So before starting the data transfer, it will also give acknowledgement signal to the peripheral device. Now this is the acknowledgement that is given, which is through the DACK signal. So it gives a DACK signal back to the peripheral device, giving the information that we are going to start the memory transfer. So it should be ready to the device should be ready to accept the data, right? So whenever, obviously the device will not be always anticipating data, it will go into idle modes. Once it after a few minutes of no operations, it will go into ideal mode. So to wake the peripheral device back into active mode, it gives this acknowledgement signal, giving the information that we have to start the data transfer. Now once this signal is given to the peripheral device, the DMA will start with the transfer of data, right? Let's start with the transfer of data. Before the transfer, it gives the DACK signal to the peripheral device, right? Now once it is finished with the transfer of data, the DMA automatically increments the address of the memory location, and it will also decrement the count. So that happens automatically because it does not require any instructions for that, because it is designed in such a way that it is used only for data transfer. So it is a device that automatically increments the memory location and quickly transfers the data much more faster than the processor can do it. Now once it reaches the terminal count, which is the count once the count reaches 0, what happens, the DMA will release the system bus by giving a 0 on this particular signal. Now in the beginning it gave a 1, it keeps it 1 till the operation is done, and the moment the data transfer is completed, it makes this pin 0, and the MUP takes control of the system bus. MUP will take control of the system bus. That is the entire process. Okay. Fine. So this is the process in which the DMA operates. Now there are few modes in which the DMA operates. So this is also known as the one of the main mode of operation in which the DMA operates is the single byte transfer mode. Single byte transfer mode of operation. This is also known as a cycle stealing mode. The reason why we call this a cycle stealing mode is that in this transfer, now you know that when we do some data transfer, let's say if the DMA takes control of the system bus, the problem is that the microprocessor will not be having the access to the system bus, right? Now the processor will have to, again, if it has to access the system bus for any of its operation, it will have to wait till the DMA gives the control back, or if it's an emergency like a non-maskable interrupt occurs, then it can take the control of the system bus. Otherwise it will have to wait for the DMA to finish its operation. So this is one mode of operation in which this problem has been solved completely. Now in this mode, what happens is that the DMA will take the DMA becomes the bus master, or DMA takes control of the bus just to transfer 1 byte of data, right? So it will transfer 1 byte of data and then it will return the bus back to the microprocessor, which means that as soon as the 8085 processor transfers or uses the bus for 1 cycle, again it will give back the control to the DMA. So it is like single byte transfer mode, which means that 1 byte of data will be transferred by DMA, and then for 1 byte of operation the MUPI will take control of the system bus. So till the entire data is completely transferred, which means that it is transferring the bus to DMA for 1 cycle. After the 1 cycle it gives back to MUPI. Again after 1 cycle it gives the control back to DMA. Likewise it keeps shifting the control from MUPI and DMA for every cycle. So that is why this is known as a single byte transfer mode, which means that the MUPI does not have to wait for the entire bulk of data to be transferred by the DMA, because after each byte is transferred the MUPI gets the control of the system bus, right? So that is the most advantageous mode of operation, because otherwise what happens is that once the DMA gets the control of the bus, you will have to wait. As a programmer, let's say you are using a PC and you are connecting a USB and you want to transfer data between your memory and USB, and you have given the request for copying some data from your memory to your USB, and then your MUPI does not work if it does not have the control to the system bus till the copying takes place. So that is not the case, right? That is not the case when we use the your PC, right? So the PC definitely uses this particular mode of operation, which is known as a single byte transfer mode, where the DMA controller gets the access to the system bus for 1 cycle, where it transfers the data and then it gives back the control to the microprocessor for its operations. Now you might have also observed that while transferring data, that your processor becomes a bit slow, right? The reason is that the processor is not continuously getting the bus. It is actually getting the bus only after, like in alternate cycles, right? So it becomes the speed definitely reduces because it is getting the control of the bus only in the alternate cycles. So that is the reason why we see a lag in the PC's operation while you are copying some files from your memory to your USB devices. So this is one of the most important methods. Even today we use it in our systems for transferring data or files from from the memory to IO devices, so that the MUPI also gets the system bus, the current operation or whatever operation that you are performing side by side will also be done while the transfer is taking place. So that is one mode of operation. The second mode is known as the block transfer mode. So in block transfer mode, the entire bulk of data is transferred in a single chunk, where the MUPI does not get the access to the system bus while the transfer is being done. So this can be implemented in devices which are hardly used, or processors which are hardly used, like the servers or any other computers which are not used by the programmers or the users, but it is just kept for all these handling all these data transfers or any other functions. So this is one such mode where the DMA completely transfers the entire bulk of data and then it gives the access to the processor. Another mode is known as a demand transfer mode. Now in demand transfer mode, the DMA waits until the processor becomes idle, which means that whenever the processor is idle, when it is not doing any operation, obviously we don't use the PC for the entire time, right? So which means that, let's say you have given you do some operation, then you go here and there, maybe after some time you come back and do some another operation. So your PC goes into idle modes in between whenever you are not using the PC. So in demand transfer mode, the DMA controller waits till the PC goes into an idle state, or your microprocessor goes into idle state, and the moment it is in idle state, it will take the control of the bus master, does the operation. Whenever the PC comes back into active state, whenever it wants to do its operations, it will give back the bus control back to the PC. And another last mode is known as the cascaded mode, in which you can actually cascade more than one DMA controller in order to you can have a first level and a second level of DMA controller, where you can increase the number of devices to which you are interfacing the memory, or the basically means that you can increase the number of peripheral devices by using a cascade configuration. So these are the four different modes of operation of DMA controller. I hope the video is clear. If you have any doubts, you may ask. Okay then guys, thank you.